everyone, I'm Steve. Mark's working late tonight, and this is Smokey, Steve, and Mark. Either welcome or welcome back, and happy Thursday. We're getting there. It's almost the weekend. I hope everybody's well. I hope everybody is safe. Look after yourselves. Um, I have a little bit of a sore throat. I kind of don't feel so hot. So excuse the extra Harvey Firestein-esque quality to my voice today, please. We are going to have a story time. However, it's going to be a little bit different today. So, not one main topic. Mark actually, compiled some questions that people had either from email, Instagram, or Facebook that were pretty much directed at me, not at the two of us. Sometimes questions will come through that are just for Mark, and some that are for the both of us, either or, and some that are just me. So I'm going to take the opportunity. I have about 6 questions to go over that were just for me. And they go anywhere from questions about my hat to sexuality, mental health, all those sort of things. So it's almost like you're getting 6 mini stories instead of one big long one. So I'll try to keep the energy up, and we'll just see how it goes from there. Okay? So again, Mark pulled these, and I looked at these. So we're just gonna go with what's here. So, question number 1. Why do I wear a hat? Well, I wear a hat most of the time. A couple reasons. 1, my head gets cold. 2, my head gets cold because I'm pretty much bald. I have about a third of the hair I used to have when I was growing up. My hair started falling out when I was about 17, 18. It started going gray at 18. And then this started happening. And then there was a mole that used to be covered, and that was like the water line. And then it started going past that. And then the back, no one told me. I don't look at the back of my head much, and it had opened wide up. And it's been like that since. So I started shaving my hair when I was about 29. I just started shaving my head. In the winter and fall, it gets cold. In the spring, it's cold. I wear a hat to bed because Mark likes to run the air conditioner. So it's like a friggin' meat locker in there. So I tend to wear it to bed all the time. And sometimes I'm feeling a little some sort of way about not having hair. So I'll put the hat on, and it's like, well, not that people don't know I'm bald. I mean, it's one of my defining characteristics. But for me, it's just easier that day. So that's what's up with the hats. I have several for different times of year. I have the one with meow on it. That's kind of fun. This one's more for warmth. I have another one that's more for winter. It's got a fur lining. So I rotate out about 5 of them. So you may notice different ones. This is the most commonly worn, though. So, next question. Question number 2. How did my parents take it when I came out? Okay, so I'm gay. In case you haven't been paying attention, Mark and I are gay. We are not Bert and Ernie. I came out to my parents about 4 months after I finished high school. I was 1.5 months into college, my freshman year, and I had discovered my persuasion, and of course wanted to start dating the first guy that showed me any attention, and came out in that relationship. So I called my mother, which was probably not a good idea, and told her over the phone. I had a friend who let me use the phone in her dorm, and she was there for like kind of support. I had told my college friends first, who I only knew for like a month, so I kind of felt like, well, if they don't like it, they're newbie friends, hopefully I'll be okay. So I called my mom, tell her over the phone, and she's like, well, are you bisexual? I didn't know my mother knew what bisexual meant. And I was like, I don't know. And I think I repeated off a line from Sophia when they were talking about Phil, the son, dressing in women's clothing. And Sophia had said, well, it's not like having a war hero in the family. I think I quoted that exactly. So I was hysterical, and then I hung up, and then I didn't talk to anybody for 3 days, and I think they had thought I'd killed myself. Completed suicide, rather. So, finally got to my parents' house with the boyfriend to visit. And luckily, the Simpsons episode where Bart, they think Bart's gay, the one with John Waters on it, just happened to be on TV. Sometimes things just line up, because my family are big Simpsons fans, and that's like a segue into it, sort of, you know? My mom was pretty, okay with it right away, And then she did some thinking about it. I got her a book, Now That You Know. It covers everything from religion to AIDS to blaming yourself to blaming your kids to everything. My father's a little reserved anyway, so it wasn't too big of a deal. First guy I brought home, he like didn't get up out of his chair to say hello to him or greet him or anything like that. But then after that, either he got okay with it or he accepted it, or more likely, he just didn't like the guy. And later, I didn't like him either. So dad's probably just seeing ahead to this douchebag before I can see that he's a douchebag. Because other guys I had brought home after that, dad's very friendly, says hello. So maybe dad was put off for a little bit, but it was hard to tell. But after that, my brother got married. I had brought a date to the wedding, who was a guy. Brought a girl too, though. Brought my friend. It was never a thing. I danced with my brother-in-law at his wedding, which was less than a year after I had come out. So the support was good. My family was okay. My parents were okay with it. My mother came down to Philadelphia to speak for the Gay and Lesbian Student Union I was like vice president of in college. And it was so funny because I just think of a very relaxed relationship I had with my mom. And what it turned into was Q&A from a lot of my friends whose parents had cut them off and thrown them out. Or they had a strange relationship and they only went for a really uncomfortable Christmas. She was like mom. It looked like she was mom to 6, 7 wayward homosexual kids, and it was fun. And then we went clubbing that night. We went to Woody's in Philadelphia. Just glean from the name what do you think the club, And actually, she got told to go outside, change, and come back because she was wearing a sweater dress type thing that comes down to your knees with the belt. And I guess they thought she was dealing coke or something, So mom and dad are okay with it now. They have been. I believe they think it's not a phase. It's been 21 years. I've been out longer than I was in. So they're okay. Question number 3. How did Mark end up living with us? Condensed version. Mark and I met in rehab in 2010, at the end of 2010. We stayed in touch via letter from 2011 up until the beginning of 2012. Mark went in and out of treatment in 2011 a couple times. He was just struggling. He wasn't doing very well. They recommended a halfway house, and he was looking into going to the halfway house in the corner of the state up here where I lived. Mark was putzing around between Altoona, Pittsburgh, and Erie at the time. So he thought about coming up this direction to Northeast Pennsylvania. And he called me first and he asked if I thought it was okay. And I'm like, it's your life. Do what you want. Of course, I wanted him to come there and marry me. But it's a little early for that. So he came up and stayed for a couple weeks between apartments and then left for a week or two. And I cried. I was miserable and then just got over it. And he came back for another week or so and then tried another living arrangement, took a bus and went to another state. And that fell through and he didn't like it. So then he wanted to, find another direction. And he asked if he could stay maybe a little longer. So I have the phone, pull it this way. Mom, Dad, is it okay if Mark stays for a little longer this time? Maybe a month or so? And they were like, okay. And it turned into 4 years. So it was okay with my parents. I think it's odd. It was an odd situation for me being I was not in recovery when he moved in. And then I was very new in recovery when I moved home. And there was even a question of when I was in treatment, should Mark be there when I got home? Because he stayed in the house from April till August while I was in jail and then rehab. So he was there with my parents alone. And I always thought they liked him better than me anyway. But, so that's how he ended up moving in. And he was going to stay for a short period of time. And then he stayed again for 4 years. And Mark worked full time the whole time. I don't think my parents put him on the spot for rent. He was just such a nice person to have around the house. He had his routines. He would talk to my parents. It was like having a very old foster kid kind of in the house. So it was nice. Mark wasn't particularly fond of living in the town that we were living in, but I think he liked living with my parents. And I liked living all of us there too. It was time to move on when we left. But it was a good experience to be there, I think, for him. So, because he doesn't have much family to speak of. And it was different for him to have like a mom figure, a dad figure, siblings, mine. Because, we're all family. So, I mean, Mark's family, like, we're all family now. Mark's part of my family. So, let's see. Question 4. Have you ever been with a girl? I'm assuming that Mark crowded a few questions together and that this is in every sense of the word. Okay. So, have I ever been with a girl? No, I've been with women. There is a difference. When I was in high school, I wasn't out. So, in an effort to stay in and throw smoke bombs to try to stay in, because I was always the fat kid, and then when I lost about 100 pounds, I was the closeted gay kid, because my personality started to show up. I started to feel more myself, and myself was apparently effeminate. So it goes. I tried to hide that and dampen it a little bit, but it didn't work too well. I kind of had this like, yo man, surfer thing I was throwing over the top. It didn't really work. So I had dated one girl, and it got mildly physical, and we broke up because we were more of like friends, brother, sister type. And then there was another that I dated my senior year, and she was a sophomore, maybe a junior. And she was gorgeous. She was my height. She was 5'10". And she was same size as me. We could share clothes because I was so thin at the time that we were swapping clothes back and forth. I think she was an 8, maybe a 10. I don't know. And we dated for about a year, maybe a year and a half. Proms, Christmas dances, all that fun stuff. And we were a little more active, few more clothes off in that relationship. So yeah, I have. It's not for me. It was nothing I'd care to do again. It's not like I have this like, ew, girls, yucky thing that some men do, straight or gay. They don't have to be gay to go, ew. I know plenty of straight men that go, oh, I don't want to hear it. But it was nothing I would choose to do again. Like I said, once I kind of figured out what I liked, it was like light bulb. Like that first guy I met, the one who I shouldn't have gotten the relationship with, but he looked at me like twice, and I thought, oh, he loves me. With a girl, it wasn't quite the same thing. It felt more like I need to maintain this relationship because I liked her. She was a good friend, and we had a lot of fun. I had ulterior motives to keeping that relationship intact because as soon as I was out of high school, I think we broke up. So it is comfort to know that she's living with a woman now, and she's very happy with her partner, whose pronouns are he, they, I think. So she seems to be doing very well. She's thriving. I think she's in Florida. She does nursing work or something like that. So bravo for her. But no, we're intimate. So I can say I've tried it. When people say, well, how do you know if you like girls if you've never been with it? I have. And I love women, just not in that way. So, let's see. Steve, number 5. What is your mental health diagnosis? They've changed over time. Initially, when I first saw a psychiatrist when I was 18, I was diagnosed with depression and given antidepressants. How novel. And I was on those for quite a while, actually, just antidepressants, no other medication, and it would go between Prozac and Celexa and all the other popular ones. I was not re-diagnosed until 2009 when I was re-diagnosed with bipolar disorder, bipolar 1. And then a cocktail of meds kind of started to come through. So with the bipolar, it was kind of like I said, a cocktail of meds. Some people take 1 pill, some people take 2. I take quite a bit as it's been over time, and I'm actually in the process of trying to downsize the medication I've been taking, because it's always like I'd go to the hospital or I'd have a swing of some sort, and they'd like add 1 more, add 1 more, add 1 more. And I'm doing okay on them, but some of them make me feel dull. They make me feel dopey. And I don't want to go off them and go on a manic tear, But, manic. I didn't mention this in another video. I take for granted that some people know what some of the words mean. I can only describe mania as it happens to me. I become extremely energetic. I wake up a ton of times during the night. I barely sleep. I'm either eating a ton or I'm not eating at all. What else? Driving fast, spending money that I don't have. pretty much. You know, all of a sudden credit card totals start to go up really quick. Buying new clothes. I hate shopping. I hate a lot of out of character things that I do when I'm not in a good spot, in a good place. I may cook a ton. I may start exercising ridiculously, not just like my normal walk and everything, like ridiculously. So that's what I look like when I'm manic. And then when I'm depressed, it looks like typical garden variety depression that people experience, and I think people identify more easily. So I would walk into the doctor's office depressed, and they'd give me antidepressants. But antidepressants can cause a spike in mood. You know, we have depressed down here, and then we have normal, and then we have manic. Okay, so I take pills that are supposed to bring the mania, the possibility of mania down, and the depression back up. So I can live in here like people without this mental health concern. You have the usual ups and downs because life is life. You know, everyone has ups and downs because that's living. You know, I don't have it necessarily harder than anybody else when I'm engaged in treatment. I just have the typical life ups and downs. If there's a catch in treatment, then there can be a problem with how I'm functioning. Like I said, I think a few weeks ago I had mentioned I had a med adjustment. One of my antidepressants was like not working too well. So we changed the dose on it. And now I'm waiting that out. And the transition for me for those medications means nightmares. Waking up during the night, it sort of simulates some of the symptoms of mania because it's dragging up the bottom and trying to get me back to normal. So sometimes it spikes a little bit. I'll be talking a ton. I'll be talking way over Mark. It's been in videos before pointed out that I do talk over Mark, and I do. Sometimes it's because I feel compelled to get a point across and I'm just being rude doing it, usually I end up apologizing to Mark after the video comes out. Or I'm just so pressured to speak that I have to speak now. So, and then there's a mixed manias where you have some of the symptoms of mania, the go-get-it attitude, the I'm invincible stuff, and then you have depression where you're all reckless and don't give a crap about anything. That's the most likely time for me to have a self-injuring type of situation going on. So putting all those together and you slap it in front of a doctor, bipolar is what was spit out and came back at me. So that's what I'm currently being treated for. And I'm responding to the treatment of that group of symptoms they put together. So that's the label I've kept. I also have eating disorder not otherwise specified, which is called now OSFED, I think, in the DSM-5. It just means I have some symptoms of eating disorders, mostly thoughts, not behaviors necessarily. I mean, I've gained weight recently, but it wasn't from binging. It was from a little extra here and there. COVID weight, 0.5 pound a week times 18 months. And all of a sudden we've gained weight from COVID. So I have a little bit of issues. These aren't on my chart, these other things, but they're things that I work with on a daily basis. Anxiety. I have situational anxiety bad. Sometimes I'm terrified to drive. Sometimes I'm terrified to fly. We're honeymoon planning potentially. And I'm like, I don't want to ruin this for us if he wants to travel somewhere. But I'm so afraid of getting on a plane. I'm going to have to just get over it somehow. We may be talking to a therapist shortly about that. Body dysmorphia. I don't really care for the way my body looks. And that becomes very upsetting sometimes. So that lingers also in my chart. There's no sign of personality disorder listed. Of course, that doesn't mean nothing's going on necessarily. So that's my mental health diagnoses. And substance use disorder in remission. So sustained remission is like over a year with a substance use disorder. Yes, there are mental health concerns and they go on your chart. And treatment for it is reimbursed through mental health insurance, at least if it's on Medicaid. So if you're on Medicaid. So it is a mental health issue. It's reimbursed through medical insurance to get paid for. So it is a medical problem. You know, just like Betty Ford and other folks who have issues with it. It's not any one type of person's problem. Just like any other mental health concern. It could happen to anybody, you know. The idea that, and I'll say this and then we'll go to the next question. The idea that people with mental illness, because this came up on Foodie Beauty's channel, it may be in her chat or something. The idea that people who may be dealing with a substance use disorder or a mental illness, and that many folks who are creative geniuses, the mad genius, just alive with creativity, who does incredible art and incredible writing when they're very unwell. I'm not going to speak to those experiences, but I can tell you mine. I used to like to write. Now I like to talk more, but I used to like to write a lot. And when I was not well, particularly when I was, high energy and manic, I was more productive. And I would write and write and write. And then I would go back and look at it later. It's not that my writing was better, it's just that I wrote more, if you can follow what I mean. So I didn't have like 10 pages of high quality writing. I had 100 pages of horseshit that I was convinced made sense at the time, and then I look back and it's absolute garbage. So there are plenty of people without mental health concerns and addiction who create good art, write good books, direct good movies, paint good paintings, make good videos, all sorts of stuff. There's plenty of people with mental health concerns who do all those things, obviously. It doesn't hold people back, but it's not exclusive to that. So throwing out, I'm a creator and I have a mental health issue, and a lot of creative people do. Well, let's define creative. Never mind. We'll save it for Saturday. We'll save it for Saturday. Okay. And let's see. The last one I have that he pulled up. Do you miss alcohol? On the piggyback of substance use disorder, my drug of choice was alcohol. I drank steadily. The first bit of impairment started around 23 when I started having problems at work. I was having problems in a relationship that I was having. I was having problems driving, obviously. I was having a lot of different issues. And that's when I started up with daily drinking. Daily drinking meaning I had to go to the liquor store every day and buy a fifth of vodka every single day. And it was gone by the next morning. I get out of work at 5, go buy it, drink up until midnight, wake up, drink a little more, go back to bed, wake up, go back to bed, finish the bottle the next morning before I got in the shower, lie to everyone at work and say I was out drinking last night. And then I might sneak some of that into an orange juice bottle to have a little nippy nip at work while I was there. And it just escalated and escalated and escalated until I was fired for showing up to work drunk with alcohol on me. Could you blame them? I mean, I had a union job. You gotta fucking bad to lose a union job. And I did. That's what happened. So in those instances, looking back, no, I don't miss alcohol. Those are some of the bigger regrets I have of my life so far, is that I had created for myself, through a lot of hard work, a great situation where I worked my way into a job that was created for me by my work, that I had found a little apartment in a big city. I was the small town kid who just left there with $50 in my K car, and I had made something of myself, and then from drinking, destroyed it all. That doesn't sit too easy here. And then oh my God. Sorry, just reflecting on that for a moment made me a little misty. So obviously after that, I was in and out of rehab trying to get off of the alcohol. And do I say I miss it now? Sometimes it's appealing to want to be numb. I don't know how else to put that. Maybe that's because I've had experience being numb in difficult times. If you've not abused substances or used them, maybe you don't know. But numb is preferable to bad. Numb is also preferable to unpredictable. So if I'm not sure how I'm going to feel about something, preloading was something I would do. Like, let's say I was going to go to a funeral, for example. I would drink beforehand because I don't know if I'm going to get giggly and stupid if this is going to be a ball-breaking funeral. My family is very dark humor, Irish Catholic. The laughing at funerals is so inappropriate but happens so much. Is it going to be that? Is it going to be sad? Is it going to be people throwing themselves on the coffin? The unexpected emotional response scares me. So before I even find out what's going to happen, I'm going to protect myself, numb myself down a little bit. So whatever amount of shock happens or emotional stuff happens, it's guarded. It's blocked. It's like living life with a helmet. Everything's buffered a little bit. Shocks aren't that shocking. You know, things that are scary aren't that scary. It's the liquid courage that comes with it. To the extent that I miss having a little way to numb out and take recess sometimes, I have to do alternative ways, meditation, deep breathing, and all that stuff feels so hokey at the beginning. You know, when you're leaving rehab, try deep breathing. I'm like, lady, that guy was shooting 50 bags a day, and you're going to tell him to deep breathe? He might not make it to the door. So, I miss the feeling it used to give, but I don't miss the consequences because they were so dire. Like I said, I don't have too much in the way of regrets, but that's one of them. So, having to leave behind the little life I built. Now, things come back after that by not doing that one. If I do that one thing, I lose everything. If I don't do that one thing, the drinking, I can have a life. I have a relationship of 7 years, okay? That's ludicrous for me. I'm getting married. I have an apartment that we've had for the same amount of time. I have a pet. I have 2. I have a job I've held the same amount of time. I have a job where they trust me to work from home. You know? I have no points on my license. My car insurance is cheap because the stuff I had done in the past, the DUIs and the other irresponsible, dangerous stuff, has been far enough in the past, and I've cleaned up my side of the street as far as fines, probation, and everything, that all that stuff came off. So, yeah, that part I don't miss. That part I don't miss. It doesn't feel like an even trade-off anymore. At the time it did. But I was dealing with alcohol. It demands attention. You know, I was the kind of person with a substance use disorder that I needed to have my next fix before this fix wore off. So I was running out of booze. That's when the emergency is happening. It's not when I run out. It's if I run out. If I have this much left, that's too little. Got to start hustling now. That I don't miss. So those are my 6 mini stories, 6 Q&As that we were able to come up with. Thank you, Mark, for pulling these out for me. That was a very big help. I just got a long text with, here's the condensed version of these 6 points. I'm like, okay, let's talk. So I hope you enjoyed them. If you have any other questions, don't hesitate. Leave those below as well. I will definitely take a look at those. We could save them for another Q&A. If you have any questions that are... I can't see for shit today. I just don't feel. If you have any questions for Mark, leave those below as well. And we can get Mark to do a Q&A. He's much more private than I am. So we'll see if we can drag something out of him and reveal. Because Mark is like super, super nice. Beyond the super, super friendly and vivacious guy that you see on camera. He's all of that, but there's more too. So hopefully we can get him to talk a little bit and open up on camera. So I'll leave you guys with that. Thank you all for watching. Please do subscribe. Hit the notification bell on your way out so you get alerts when we have new videos and also when we go live. You can follow us on Facebook at SmokeySteveAndMarc or on Instagram at SmokeySteveAndMarc. Our email address and our contact information is all listed below as well. Thank you again, and we will catch up with you tomorrow. Tomorrow's Friday. We'll catch up with you tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Bye.